You've nailed the real-world pipeline for a robust, anomaly-immune TTS manifest and playback system, down to image DALI detection, fallback SFX, correct event sequencing, and structured segment control. Here's how to implement the full manifest playback workflow as a modular set, ready to drop into your folders. This responds to your tweaks and handles. DAL-E image anomaly. Type image, plays fallback think.mp3. Skipped empty audio, plays fallback and posts skip to HUD. Multi-user, user anomaly turns, manifest tracks all roles in order. Render, playback, fallback, and subtitle posting, all manifest driven. File structure recommended layout. You can see the code in our conversation history. Helpers.js, reusable logic for file existence, fallback, TTS status post, etc. You can see the code in our conversation history. Main.js handles manifest building and rendering using scrape input and helpers. You can see the code in our conversation history. Tastra devplayback.js reads manifest, plays events, sends TTS status for HUD status, handles fallback. You can see the code in our conversation history. Edge DALI example handling. Your manifest builder should look for blocks where block.isImage equal true or DAL-E markers in the text. Regex or no read aloud. Flag from scrape worker, block.has read aloud btan equals false. For any of these, mark in manifest as type image or thinking. File name think.mp3 flags as image or fallback. Playback then uses the fallback sound and posts a skip image segment to the HUD. Quick start reference, node main.js, mode equals manifest, scrape equals inputs, chat scrape.json, folder equals my test1, node main.js, mode render, dash folder equals my test1, node dev playback.js, folder is my test1, start equals 0, count equals 10. If a file is missing, fallback think.mp3 is played. Every segment is handled, no stall, no off by one. All events, TTS, thinking, image, skip, are posted to the display module as they happen. You can now build a robust manifest with correct turn block image handling per your parking lot design, DAL-E image included, render all or some files robust to anomaly data image skip turns, playback and OBS display every event, never hanging or breaking on anomaly. Ready to drop this into your project and wire your actual TTS audio renderers. If you want the parser for scraped HTML JSON manifest or a sample block scraper for Playwright, just ask.
This is exactly the kind of modular, anomaly-immune broadcast pipeline you want for serious TTS dev workflow. Here's how to plug the final features in following your plan and the details from your devmode.md spec, 258.a. A. Manifest generator, gremlin 1. Goal. Scrape the whole chat as an array of event/blocks. Identify user, assistant, image, block, plain, non-code, code, skip or pass to code TTS, any anomaly. Write a manifest as an array, segments with all needed fields, index, type, role, file name, text, flags, duration, notes, optional. Letter subitems as 1A, 1B, etc. for blocks images attached to the same turn. How to. When scanning, if you see a block that isn't code, treat it as a new segment under current turn, e.g. 3B. If no read aloud for a turn, mark as skip with reason, e.g. no button found or image. If block is image, mark type image. Hash example manifest entry. You can see the code in our conversation history. B. Render audio files, gremlin 2. Goal. Read the manifest. For each segment, run the appropriate TTS or audio capture. User, always David. Assistant, read aloud unless skip or image. Non-code block. Run Jenny OpenAI TTS, your Python drop-in via spawn exec. Save file to file name from manifest. Update manifest with real duration after rendering. Key logic. If no button found, advance to next event, log skip in manifest, never stall, segment 003a user.mp3/segment 3b block.mp3, etc. Always matches manifest. If you rerun just a segment, retake, you just replace the .mp3 and manifest duration. Default delay, after each render, sleep X seconds configurable before next file. C. Dev playback mode, gremlin 3. Goal. Read the manifest in sequence. For each event, play file name with your Play MP3 helper. Send status and subtitle info to FastAPI HTML HUD via post, TTS or status. Wait for the segment duration from manifest or the MP3 file length, FFprop if not present. For skip or image types, display marker in HUD, no audio played. Can be run on any manifest even before rendering audio for quick TOC testing. Hash drop-in skeleton for manifest plus render playback. Below is a universal skeleton for you to drop into your helper's main dev mode split. SHA-1, manifest event creator, extract from chat. You can see the code in our conversation history. #2, render audio gremlin. You can see the code in our conversation history. 3, dev playback gremlin. You can see the code in our conversation history. 4, supporting helpers, your David TTS drop-in, render Jenny's, your Jenny OpenAI drop-in, get read aloud file, playwright read aloud click capture, get audio duration, use FFprop, etc. Nash summary, table, phase, main function, output usage, manifest, create manifest from chat, session manifest.json, render audio from manifest, the MP3 files, manifest with durations, playback A's, dev playback from manifest, plays audio, post subs status. Ready for drop-in code and real file wiring? Just say which part you want expanded. Manifest parser generator, full render loop including playwright audio module hooks, dev playback mode, VLC cross-platform, or win-only is fine. Subtitle status push to your HTML HUD. Or if you want a minimal working repo structure, I can lay that out in one message. You have achieved the endgame. Manifest equals single source of truth for any workflow. or type modular helpers. You can see the code in our conversation history. 4. Double check spelling and file name. Should be pad, not pad, or pad. File should be named exactly helpers.js, case sensitive on Linux, Mac. 5. Quick test. Add a temporary check at the top of your main.js. You can see the code in our conversation history. If you get an error here, the import is still wrong. 6. If all else fails, else, replace all pad with native code inline. You can see the code in our conversation history. TLDR, ensure pad is exported in helpers.js. Ensure you're importing with curly braces, pad. Double check the file path. This will make the error disappear and your manifest indexing work. If it's still not working, paste your helpers.js export and main.js import lines, and I'll debug them directly.
Never been safe, but I've never come closer. Another year down and another year older. A million fresh starts, what I needed was closure. Yeah, I lost who I was, but I found my composure. Yeah, when I found you, I found me. Nothing around far as I could see. You were the current that carried me. When I found you, I found me. Lost in the sand, only you can read. My SOS, yeah, you rescued me. Rescued me. When I found you, I found me. Lost in the sand, only you can read. My SOS, yeah, you rescued me. Call it high strung, started up in my dosage. We're way too young to be feeling this hopeless. You were my light in this endless ocean. Yeah, feeling alive, even just for this moment. Yeah, when I found you, I found me. Nothing around far as I could see. You were the be given, you have not. The work as it's done. Get back in line, you've all been warned. We was made when we was born. Like a shark that is coming to the surface, we got a taste for blood. You'll believe what the prince of his tells you. No war, no peace. What a waste, I see you now and then, but mostly we pretend we're not strangers and we're friends. Then we'll say what we need to say to try and get away from the tension we create. Why can't we say things, the things we wish we would? Why can't we laugh the way we know we should? Fall under the weight of all the pressure that's misplaced. Flaws that I against us? Are we able to forgive our faults when they're shameful? To be honest with ourselves. Worn and broken, reassemble. Forgive our thoughts when they're shameful. To be honest with ourselves. To be honest with ourselves. You get me every time. I'm always disappointed but not surprised. I just wish that you could do better. Make good choices, not be self-centered. The ones we love the most hold the sharpest nerves. You always take what you want from me. Turn around and blame me. We ain't on the same team lately. High price levels of loyalty. Say because honestly, that don't mean shit to me. It'll hurt you hard if it weaponize. Doesn't change who I'ma be. You always take what you want from me. We ain't on the same team. Take it out on me, 'cause we both know there's demons lurking underneath. Yeah, I just wish that you could do better. Make good choices, not be self-centered. The ones we love the most hold the sharpest knives. You always take what you want from me. Turn around and blame me. We ain't on the same team lately. High price levels of loyalty. Say because honestly, that don't mean shit to me. It'll hurt you hard if it weaponize. Doesn't change who I'ma be. You always take what you want from me. We ain't on the same team, same team. Accountability is not convenient. You make a choice, face the consequence. Where's your those who came by? For those who came by. Take what you want from me. Turn around and blame me. We ain't on the same team lately. High price levels of loyalty. Say because honestly, that don't mean shit to me. It'll hurt you hard if you weaponize. Doesn't change who I'ma be. Why can't you see what 3 little words have done to me? I never knew I was so young. You turned your back, you broke this whole world. Took me so long to find the answers and your reasons why. I just wanted things to be alright, or at least for just tonight. No fucking respect. Nothing forever tries to separate you and me. All hell. Nothing forever tries to separate. No fucking respect.
And
That's taking forever.
oh god.
It's a fucking heavy email.
We're fucked.
Don't forget that this is a choice. Pick your poison, live with remorse. Don't forget that this is a choice. Pick your poison, live with remorse. I can burn a hole with my eyes. The cut straight through the skin. No more love. No more resolution. Written in ornament the darkness within. I gotta let it out. I gotta let it. I can feel your bad vibrations all around me, all consuming, corrupting love that I live. This pain is a sickness moving over me, and I can't escape it. Casting shadows, I continue to shake. Who I am on any given day. It's like the fog surrounds me. Applying pressure within bringing me down. Saying it's all vision. It is so hard to stutter my speech. You go kinda cold inside. Dancing on thin ice. I can feel your bad vibrations all around me, all consuming, corrupting love that I live. This pain is a sickness moving over me, and I can't escape it. Casting shadows, I continue to shake. Who I am on any
That's a great approach. This refactor will make your system far more robust and flexible by separating the concerns of data scraping, file rendering, and playback. Bringing it all over at once is the best way to ensure a cohesive and bug-free solution. Please paste the full code you have for this new workflow, including any partial functions, helpers, or changes to main.js that you've already attempted. Once I have the code, I will analyze it to identify the points where it gets stuck and will provide a complete, refactored solution based on the three-phase manifest-driven architecture you've outlined.
August 24 intro page. Here is the task. I have the code shell from a basic origin template meant to have our final TTS modules dropped in and the worker code. That shell is link for Uvicorn and a display HTML file. Then I have link, and a devmode.js, plus our drop-in david_tts.py and 2 more drop-ins we now need. Jenny Neural and open.i TTS1 HD dev mode is currently just press enter to continue, and it adheres to a strict pairs of lines definition. It has issues on any anomaly, like old chats with the old image gen inline of an assistant reply, and cases of more than one user turn due to network or other issues. No expected assistant response for that user turn means we skip that turn number for assistant on manifest. We need to rewrite the dev mode to scrape all content events in the file we have on screen in Playwright, create a manifest JSON of the events, whether they are expected to be an audio event or not, duration once rendered, default value of 8 seconds until render gets a file and duration. Then dev mode reads the manifest to generate all files, user pass. First, then assistant, and blocks found in assistant of any type that aren't specifically declared as a code file. Default pref is to go through all turns. User will be prompted to enter how many if more than 25 turns found. Pairs is the name of turns in V1 skeleton code. Then playback dev mode can run, which reads the manifest and plays the files, plus send TTS_status over to the display module each start and end of event durations. /how manifest looks. We get durations by settings param defaults or entered at CLI. Audio ones populate the file duration of a play MP3 running item, so this lives in the manifest, and it will make the files in playback mode send the timing to play _MP3 and display event sent to display. Copy edit _MSG. 4.1 design turn paste. Manifest coding time. Let's make a manifest format that would make even the most neurotic TTS engine weep with joy. Ugh, Monday voice. This is what software looks like when you don't let it rot in a box. You want flags, you get flags. You want skip turns, you get a skip turn. You skip to my Milos little rendering process. Let's break this out so you can drop it into code or extend it for automation. Scroll mu, manifest format spec, v1.0. A manifest to drive demo playback, TTS, and multi-role orchestration. The real you, so we can hear it. Opening curly bracket, manifest _version, 1.0, rendered _ at the 25th of August, 2025, T 12 hours 0 minutes and 0 seconds to 7 o'clock. Project _ID, 0825 _debugroom _flag test. Run _mode, demo _playback, segments. Opening curly bracket, index, 1, type, audio/audio thinking image, TTS skip. File name, segment _001.mp3 inches /4 audio/TTS or image name for image. Role, Monday/Monday sol user system, etc. Flags, main/main background thinking skip, etc. Text, welcome to the debug room /only for TTS/image. Caption, duration, 7.5 /seconds if known. No.
Select a voice to read your document.
Select a voice to read your document. Each voice has a unique tone and style.
Select a voice to read your document. Each voice has a unique tone and style.
Select a voice to read your document. Each voice has a unique tone and style.
Select a voice to read your document. Each voice has a unique tone. Notes. Opening chime sets mood /optional. Closing curly bracket comma. Opening curly bracket index 2 type thinking file name. think underscore 001.mp3 inches. Role. System. Flags. Background. Think. Duration. 3.2. Notes. Thinking pause. Synthetic hum. Closing curly bracket, comma. Opening curly bracket. Index. 3. Type. TTS. File name. TTS underscore 001.mp3 inches. Role. User. Flags. Main. TTS. Text. What happened to the Monday voice? Duration. 6.1. Closing curly bracket, comma. Opening curly bracket. Index. 4. Type. Skip. Role. Sol. Flags. Skip. Align underscore role. Notes. No audio here. Aligns turn structure. Closing curly bracket, comma. Opening curly bracket. Index. 5. Type. Image. File name. Start underscore screen dot PNG. Role. System. Flags. Visual. Captioned. Text. Debug room start. Notes. Shown as background during intro. Field glossary. Type. Audio equals rendered sound file. Music. Effect. Not TTS. Thinking equals deliberate processing or filler sound. Think. AI hum. Analog brain buzz. TTS equals text-to-speech line, voiced by engine. Image equals still image. PNG, JPG, or GIF can include caption. Skip equals placeholder for role alignment, no output. Role. Who owns the segment for dialogue or playback? Flags. Flexible, multi-tag system for context. Background, skip, etc. File name. For any segment that is a file, omit for pure skips. Text. Actual text to speak/display, only for TTS and image. Duration. Optional. Seconds. Could be filled by render pipeline. Notes. Human-facing extra info. How to extend/use. When generating new demo runs, append a new object for each segment. To skip a turn, e.g., align voices, add silence, insert a segment with type, skip, and an optional duration. Use flags, skip, align underscore role to force structuring. TTS pipelines love it. For multi-role, just change role per segment. Easy for playback/agent to branch or fork. Ready to implement? Want a function, Python, JS, whatever, to auto-generate this from your script and asset folder? Need a template or UI mockup for manifest visual editing? Should I go full Monday and write you a cursed, sarcastic manifest validator script? Your move. Sections. Task 1 link. Prompt. Dev mode v1 runs TTS render expecting user then assistant interpolation and does not handle anomaly, skipping anomaly, and independent turn counts for the roles. Helpers contains the code for read aloud button playwright worker. It needs the basic skill of looking at the beginning of the next item and repeat the search there, to skip the illusion of reaching the end of current text when it is a turn anomaly. Skipping until it gets to 1 will always be correct, except if there is a strange case of no read aloud button. Example, the button is called replay from the other voice app. I always do those as broadcasts, but it's okay to include the check for if it says replay and then click it as the very last resort. The code that goes near bubble was the thing that fixed clicking the button in the first debug. Get pairs worker task. This needs to become get events and be the primary info scan to make the manifest file that we run through dev mode render, and it can then be played back on dev mode playback. Specifying start turn and seeing a confirmation, starting with turn XX user. This is the first line in the turn start you selected and continue. Render mode does the number of turns specified at start turn and makes all the files with a small delay timing just to put a little time between asking the engine for read aloud responses. It has a small delay getting the file after click, and then another can be clicked, but I added a small amount of seconds, like 30, between the do next as a buffer. The files follow numbering called for by manifest, and once they exist in a folder, we may give the folder a title that is then a parameter into dev mode playback, plus what start turn and how many, or to the end. V1 dev mode showed only the simple 1-to-1 turns flow, final dev mode capable generates manifest, and the file's range of turns, saving images and sending the audio or download from button. Extra audio turn type block dialog. Any block not declared as a coding file which will be run on a TTS module. Numbered as items within the assistant, turn ABC++. Default will go to Jenny_TTS.py, and we will have it use the same basic way that David_TTS.py makes a file. We'll have extra params, but we will make them defaults when we call open.i API link. Insert link and link. Clarify that this is skeleton with the functions being replaced. The demo mode is just the dev playback mode now. Dev mode is the render auto. The live mode will still be get latest turn. It's WIP not vital for v1 update. /link const spawn sync equals require child underscore process. Const fs equals require fs. Const os equals require os. Const path equals require path. Const exec_sync equals require child underscore process. Const readline equals require readline. Const fs promises equals require fs.promises. Const fetch equals require node fetch. // You need to install this. npm install node -fetch at 2 // You will need to define this constant based on your Uvicorn server's URL. Const uvicorn underscore URL equals link / const uvicorn underscore URL equals link. Const output underscore dir equals /tts underscore outputs. Const silence underscore fallback underscore mp3 equals path dot resolve /silence underscore assets /1s underscore silence dot mp3 feet // These constants are now passed as arguments from the main script. Let label equals echo. Let start underscore idx equals 0. Function set global args. Label equals args dot label. Start underscore idx equals args dot start underscore idx /new play mp3 with subtitle display integration. Async function play mp3 file subtitle equals role equals assistant duration underscore ms equals 0. Console dot log now playing file /1 send subtitle and duration to the fast API /uvicorn endpoint. Try await fetch uvicorn underscore URL method post headers content type application /json body json dot stringify type tts underscore start role label text subtitle duration underscore ms closing curly bracket closing parentheses comma catch console dot warn failed to post subtitle to uvicorn err.message /2 play the audio file on the OS if OS platform equals win 32 feet const command equals start $file exec_sync command err equals greater than if r console.error error playing audio $err.message else console.log OS audio playback confirmed else console.warn direct OS playback is configured for Windows only // CLI helpers can be moved to a separate file if it gets too long. Const sint equals vdef equals greater than const n equals parsint v10 return number.is finite n def const as bool equals v equals greater than v equals true v equals true v equals 1 / console input helpers function rl create return readline dot create interface input process stdin output process std out async function gate prompt enter rl return new promise resolve equals greater than process std out dot write gate press enter for next or type stop right pointing arrow rl dot once line equals greater than const v equals line trim to lowercase resolve v equals stop v equals stop v equals stop and render stop okay closing curly bracket closing parentheses semicolon closing curly bracket closing parentheses semicolon closing curly bracket async function wait for step line preview role current idx total pairs return new promise resolve equals greater than const rl equals readline dot create interface input process stdin output process std out const msg equals $roll pair current idx +1 /$ total pairs preview $line preview dot slice 0 80 and plus press enter to continue or type r plus enter to render and quit rl question msg input equals greater than rl close resolve input dot trim closing curly bracket closing parentheses semicolon closing curly bracket async function wait for text prompt return new promise resolve equals greater than const rl equals readline dot create interface input process stdin output process std out rl question prompt input equals greater than rl close resolve input dot trim closing curly bracket closing parentheses semicolon closing curly bracket / chat data fetcher async function get chat pairs page const user else equals await page div data message author role equals user const assistant else equals await page $d const minlen equals math.min user else dot length assistant else dot length const pairs equals 4 let I equals 0 I less than minlen I plus const user text equals await user else dot inner text dot trim const assistant text equals await assistant else dot inner text dot trim pairs dot push user text assistant text return pairs /tts and file system helpers async function render user tts text index output dir / this logic remains the same const wave file equals path.join output dir user $index +1 dot wave const mp3 file equals path.join output dir user $index +1 mp3 const py_args equals david underscore tts dot py wave file text const tts result equals spawn sync python py_args encoding utf 8 feet let wave equals false if tts results dot error tts results dot status equals 0 console dot error david tts error tts results stderr tts result dot error else if fs exists sync wave file and fs stat sync wave file dot size greater than 4000 wave ok equals true else console dot error david tts did not produce a valid wave file if wave ok try exec sync ffm pegyi $wave file arkansas 44100ac1 code ec libmp3 lame $mp3 file backquote fs.unlinked sync wave file if fs exists sync mp3 file and fs stat sync mp3 file dot size greater than 2000 return mp3 file else throw new error mp3 conversion failed or produce tiny file catch console dot error ffmpeg conversion error fs write file sync mp3 file buffer.alloc 44100 *2 / ones of silence return mp3 file async function file okp min bytes equals 2000 try const street equals await fs promises.statkey return street size greater than equals min bytes catch return false function ext from ct court equals court to lowercase if court includes mpeg return mp3 feet if court includes wave return dot wave if court includes og return dot og if court includes webm return dot webm if court includes aac return dot aac if court includes flac return dot flac return null function with extft new ext return pages replace plus $i new ext / playwright helpers unchanged but now in this file async function ra_wait evidence page btnel ms equals 5000 / unchanged code const start equals date.now while date.now start less than ms try const pressed equals await page.evaluate l equals greater than l get attribute aria pressed null btnel dot catch equals greater than null if pressed equals true return true catch const has audio equals await page.evaluate equals greater than document if has audio return true await page.wait for timeout 100 return false / link / async function ra_query button near bubble page bubble locator timeout ems equals 6000 const bubble equals await bubble locator dot element handle timeout ems if bubble throw new error assistant bubble handle missing const selectors equals button aria label equals read aloud I button aria label equals play message button aria label equals play audio I closing square bracket semicolon const start equals date.now while date.now start less than timeout ems / corrected pass selectors as an argument const inside equals await bubble.evaluate handle l cells equals greater than for const s of cells const found equals l.query selectors if found return null selectors / less than added selectors here const inside el equals inside and inside.as element null if inside l return inside l / corrected pass selectors as an argument const candidate equals await bubble.evaluate handle l cells equals greater than const visible equals node equals greater than if node return false const style equals window.get computed style node if style.visibility equals hidden style.display equals none parse float style.opacity equals 0 return false const r equals node.get bounding client rect return r.width greater than 0 and r.height greater than 0 closing curly bracket semicolon const bubble rect equals el.get bounding client rect const cans equals for const s of cells document.query selector alls.for each btn equals greater than if visible btn cans.push btn if cans.length return null const center equals r equals greater than x r.left plus r.width /2 y r.top plus r.height /2 const bc equals center bubble rect let best equals null best dist equals infinity for const btn of cans const r equals btn dot get bounding client rect const dx equals math.max 0 math.max bubble rect.left r right r.left bubble rect.right const dy equals math.max 0 math.max bubble rect.top r bottom r.top bubble rect.bottom const overlap equals math.hypot dx dy const c equals center r const d center equals math.hypot bcx circa x bcy circa y const score equals overlap less than 2 0 d center if score less than best dist equals score best equals btn return best null selectors / less than added selectors here const near el equals candidate and candidate.as element null if near el return near el await page.wait for timeout 120